Centuries before James Bond existed, Queen Elizabeth already had a man signing secret intelligence letters with the code 007. Hello, time travelers. James Bond? You see, he's actually a 16th century lie. Long before the tuxedos and the fancy gadgets, it was a man who spoke to angels and he killed for the crown. Meet John Dee. Original 007. Just look at his mark. 2 circles and a sharp 7. To a complete stranger, it looks like magic, right? But to Elizabeth I, it meant, for your eyes only. England was a literal death trap in 1580. Spanish armadas. Papal assassins' real daggers in a dark stuff. Elizabeth didn't just need a scholar. She needed a shirdo. She needed someone who could infiltrate foreign courts under the guise of a warrior mystic, all while mapping out the total destruction of her enemies. But here is where it gets really dark. You have to ask yourself, was the alchemy just a cover story? Was John Dee a sorcerer? Or was he actually the world's first master of international espionage? Today, we're diving into the hidden archives, and what we found suggests that the license to kill was invented in a writer's room. No, it was forged in blood and occult secrets. Welcome, time travelers. Go ahead and check your history books. You see John Dee? He's tucked away in the footnotes like some crazy old wizard just talking to rocks. You see, that's exactly what they want you to think. The official story claims he was a tragic madman, lost in a fog of magic. But what if I told you madness was actually his greatest weapon? Think about it for a second. 16th century Europe was a total viper's nest. Spies were everywhere, right? You couldn't move an inch without being watched. Unless you were conjurer. While rivals mocked his crystal balls, Dee was crossing borders no diplomat could touch. He wasn't looking for the philosopher's stone. He was looking for intelligence. Here's the question that shatters the official narrative. Why the most ruthless one in history, Queen Elizabeth I give this madman private access to the throne? She didn't believe in fairy tales, you know? He believed in power. The truth? John Dee wasn't just an astrologer. He was the world's first true super spy. And his secret weapon, it wasn't magic. It was mathematics. Stay with me, because what he did next changed the map of the world forever. Vaughn's signature you might recognize. 007. Blue. Time travelers. Think Elizabeth I was just a queen? Think again. You see, she was a 100-day survivor of her own sister's death row. But to stay alive, actually, she didn't just need guards. She needed a sorcerer. Enter John Dee, the man who quite literally told the stars when she should be crowned. January 15, 1559, a date written in the heavens. But here's the part that history books gloss over, right? Dee wasn't just reading horoscopes. He was building the world's first global surveillance state. England was broke, isolated. It was just a tiny island against the gold-soaked Spanish Empire and the Vatican shadow network. On paper, Elizabeth was dead. But in the shadows, she had the eyes. And those eyes were about to get very, very sharp. Because while Spain had gold, Dee had something better. Math, codes, and a secret signature that look, well, very familiar to. But who was the man who turned Dee's visions into a body count? Stick around, because we're moving from the stars into the blood. Time travelers, wait, stop everything. You probably think 007 belongs to James Bond, right? Well, You're wrong. It actually belonged to a wizard. Forget the tuxedos and the martinis. 400 years before Ian Fleming ever touched a typewriter, Queen Elizabeth I was receiving top-secret reports signed with a code that official history tried to bury. 2 circles. 1 elongated number circle. To the rest of the world, it looked like occult gibberish. But to the Queen, it was a high-stakes signal. Those zeros, they weren't just ink, they were her eyes. John Dee was her secret sight, watching from the shadows where her army simply couldn't reach. I mean, this is the literal birth of "for your eyes only." But that 7? That wasn't just a number. It was an alchemical shield, a sacred vibration, meant to protect England from the dark. You see, Dee wasn't just some scholar playing with telescopes. He was the architect. He was the original Hugh. He built the world's first sophisticated web of double agents and ciphers that were honestly unbreakable for the time. He turned information into a lethal weapon before the enemy even left the harbor. But here is the terrifying part. Dee provided the vision. He wasn't the one getting his hands bloody. There was another man, a man lurking in the deeper shadows, who took this 007 intelligence and used it to make an entire empire vanish. You want to know who the real monster was? Keep watching. Hello, time travelers. Imagine, if you can, a man who talks to angels by day, but counts enemy warships by night. See, this isn't some Hollywood movie. It's 1580, and the world's very first 007 has just stepped directly into the lion's den. Meet John Dee. To the public, he was just a mystic, searching for the secret of eternal life. Not to Queen Elizabeth, he was her most lethal weapon of psychological warfare. While the Wheaton Tog watched you Bewukandrans to find the Philosopher's Stone, Dee was actually doing something far more dangerous. He was counting Habsburg troops. He was intercepting Spanish assassination plots. I mean, he was the ultimate spy. Every report back to London carried a chilling signature. 007. You see, the 00 meant for your eyes only, and the 7? That was his sacred guard. But then came the 1588 Spanish Armada. 130 massive ships. A floating fortress, coming to crush England. London was in a state of pure, unadulterated terror. But Elizabeth? She was strangely calm. Why? Because Dee didn't just study the stars. You see, he understood the wind. Some say he used weather matter to sow in storm that smashed a Spanish fleet against the rocks. The reality? Well, it was advanced meteorology that looked like a miracle. He saved the Queen. He burst an empire. But here's the part they don't teach you in school, right? Saving the crown made Dee the most dangerous man in the room. He brought something back from the shadows of Europe, a secret so dark it would turn his own life into a living nightmare. And you won't believe what he found. Hello, time travelers. Imagine being the most dangerous man in all of England. Now, you see, it wasn't because he carried a sword, but because he carried secrets. By 1580, John Dee wasn't just a scholar, he was a ghost, a phantom in the Elizabethan machine. The original 007, right? In the Game of Thrones, knowing too much. Well, it's a death sentence. And the shadows, they were closing in. How exactly do you destroy a man that the Queen herself protects? You don't kill him. No. You discredit him. The court didn't call him a master spy, they call him conjurer. A dealer with demons. I mean, it was the ultimate character assassination. They weaponized his brilliance. You see, branding is high-level intelligence work as dark sorcery. It was the perfect smokescreen to erase a man who simply knew too much. Then came the night. The night the world went dark. While Dee was away in Bohemia, a Marg descended at home in Mortlake. Look closer. Is this really just release outreach? Think about this for a second. Dee owned the largest library in all England. 4,000 volumes of science, math, and cryptography. In the 16th century, this wasn't just a library, it was a massive intelligence database. His personal hard drive, right? And someone wanted white. The mob didn't just break windows. They performed a cultural execution. They systematically shredded his manuscripts and smashed his instruments. But here's the conspiracy: time travelers. Was this actually a rabbit ride? Or a state-sponsored cleanup mission? Was Mortlake a strategic strike to ensure Dee's secret codes and New World maps never leaked? Dee returned to ashes. His influence shattered. His protection gone. He was a spy without a station. But as he stood in those ruins, he realized they missed something. One final, mind-bending card he had left to play, a secret that links his legacy directly to our modern world in a way you won't believe. But to see his final move, we have to look at the one person who stayed, and the terrifying price they were about to pay. Are you ready? 1608. John Dee dies poor, forgotten, and labeled a madman. But, you see, was he really? While the history books claim he failed, his ghost was actually building the foundations of the world's most powerful spy network. Fast forward 300 years. Right? Meet Ian Fleming. Before he was a novelist, he was a high-ranking officer in naval intelligence. A man obsessed with two things: classified dossiers and the occult. While digging through those dusty archives, Fleming found something that, well, it shouldn't exist. The blueprint for a legend. He found private letters to Queen Elizabeth I. And there, right at the bottom of the page, was the smoking gun. The signature. 2 circles representing the eyes of the Queen, protected by the mystical stroke of the number 7. 007. Think about that for a second. The world's most famous spy wasn't just a product of imagination. I mean, he was a 16th century wizard. John Dee didn't just save a sovereign, no, he pioneered the idea that information is the ultimate weapon, more lethal than any sword. You see a tuxedo and a martini, right? We see encrypted satellites and deep cover assets. Dee turned magic into mathematics, and mathematics into absolute power. Here's the real question. A 16th century wizard created the framework for modern intelligence. What kind of magic are today's agencies using? Right now, the sure knows go deeper than you've been told. Don't just watch history decode. Stay curious, time travelers. We're just getting started.